It's time for my not-so-guilty pleasure melodramatic romantic soap opera, Netflix's Virgin River. Season 5, Part 1 is now here. Mel, Jack, and everyone are back once more to deal with the never-ending little dramas of small-town life. It is a bit of a binge, but is it worth it? Season 5 features surprising new relationships, a shocking breakup, a difficult court trial, a heartbreaking goodbye, and a wildfire that threatens the town, bringing some people of Virgin River together while tearing others apart. So this is going to have some minor spoilers for Season 4, but I will keep Season 5 spoiler-free. So when last season ended, Charmaine had revealed that Jack wasn't the father of the twins. Jack had proposed to Mel and then started to work on his glamping idea with Nick. And then Nick's sister was making things difficult for Brady to move on, as she was the big drug dealer behind all of the trafficking that had been going on in Virgin River. Bree is grappling with the effects of her assault by a coworker, all while negotiating a relationship with Brady. And then Preacher also started a new relationship. Doc brought on Cameron, a new Doc who didn't totally hit it off with Mel or Jack, and then Doc also discovers his eyesight is failing, while Hope is also dealing with some health complications. There's probably a lot more, but the gist is that while there is a lot of drama that's going on between all the townspeople, it's never so huge that it's insurmountable, even when the actual events are quite large or difficult. So for Season 5 of this escape from reality, now we get to watch Jack deal with what Charmaine had revealed, and what that does not only to his psyche and attitude, but also how it affects his relationship with Mel. I love how this series isn't afraid to showcase a tough and manly man like Jack, with his whispery line delivery. And then he's actually struggling, and now finally getting some help. I mean, the growth is huge for the character, and something that we've watched progress over the last 4 seasons. And because we've been witness to the journey that Jack has taken, his work feels earned and natural, not something that's all of a sudden just sprung into the story to make him a bit softer. And I think really that this makes him even stronger, which is also echoed by other characters who champion his progress. Now, the season bounces us from one issue to the next with still an underlying cohesiveness to the entire story. That portion of the season focuses on Bree's decision on whether or not to take on a former coworker who also assaulted her. And while it's not a major focus of every episode, there are several where this storyline it gets more prominence, working to not only address real-life situations, but also then create character interactions that could also lead to other interactions, if you know what I mean. Now, if you saw the trailer for this season, you know that another storyline involves a wildfire. I like how this was filmed. There are some portions that look mildly realistic, and so they certainly feel legitimate for a town that's placed in Northern California, where that area seems to erupt into flames on an annual basis. Now, something that made me laugh out loud incredulously, though, was in the finale. Very shortly after the wildfire in the timeline, we see fireworks going off in a celebration. That would most certainly not happen, at least in the quantity that were going off and by the public entity. But, if I were to focus on these types of unrealistic situations, there'd be nothing left to enjoy of the show. We all know that this drama is fluffy and semi-fantasy. People get into disagreements and arguments that are then solved in a matter of minutes over a cup of coffee and a piece of pie. There's also no way this tiny town could generate the amount of convenient issues that it encounters that start a ton of the drama. Now, all of these are very obvious shortcomings, and they don't bother me in the slightest. This is an escapism show, just an idealized view of reality. I'm totally here for it. Now, this season certainly brings on the story elements that I think can cause tears. While it's not every single episode that tucks on the emotions like that, when the story beats come, they're effective in creating emotional responses because of how closely knit we can become with each character. Even those that are created to be grating and annoying have soft spots that make them endearing. Hope, played by Annette O'Toole, is just an excellent example of this. She's intrusive, abrupt, cold, mostly lacking tact, but also a fierce friend and one with the capacity for just some huge love. Now, her character progression over the seasons have been awesome to watch, just like with Martin Henderson as Jack. Hope is most definitely a flawed character, but one that can be, and I think is, redeemed. I also enjoy how they use some of her snarkiness for comedy. I mean, typically it's cheesy humor, but it still makes me smile. And this is something that I think the show continues to thrive at. Mild humor that's safe, sometimes silly or even cringy, but also lighthearted and fun. There's a sequence where the knitting circle goes to a spa, and because of pent-up feelings combined with candid and even awkward conversations, the trip results in ridiculousness, which then creates smiles. Now, there's a lot in this season that is predictable and obvious, but there were also a couple of moments that managed to surprise me. And as it seems with each new season, new romances pop up, and this time, I don't think that it's something that you might expect. Now, this season, like most of the others, it's 10 episodes that are each about 45 minutes long. But this season is only part one, with then the final 2 episodes concluding part 2 in late November. Now, these are going to be holiday episodes, which is kind of where the first part leaves us. There's mild suspense through some of the arcs, but because the first 10 episodes drop at once, that tension, it's relieved as quickly as you can press next episode. For the pacing, it's pretty steady with a speed that's efficient and moving. Not rushing, but not meandering either. And when those fire sequences arrive, those are pretty high adrenaline with faster camera movements and more dramatic musical score, building up intensity to match the emotion. Now, I don't think you get to season 5 of Virgin River by accident. The show isn't revolutionary in its storytelling or presentation, but it thrives at bringing a close-knit community into our homes to show us how ideal the world could be, even with drama and difficulty. The arcs are predictable, but effective in showcasing character growth, engaging dynamics, and escapism that somehow teeters between fantasy and relatability. The cast is fun to watch and comfortable enough in their characters to deliver the right amount of sadness, snark, empathy, and humor. This current season is an emotional roller coaster, but one that I'm happy to ride as long as they put out episodes. There's brief sex, no nudity, some profanity, and some violence. I give season 5 of Virgin River 3.5 out of 5 couches. So who's your favorite character in the show? Now, I'm rooting for Brady because he's mostly the underdog. Let me know yours, though, in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.